we ship by air or express air, the units that can be shipped are less than if we select the rail or the road methods of transportation. And this is also taking into account that via air has the most carbon emissions. And also another thing that we had to take into consideration was that manufacturer number 6 was located in Taiwan and could only ship the units via air or water.
As we previously mentioned, the goal of our team was to reduce the carbon emissions by DHL. And in order to do this, now that Karimi has mentioned what the constraints are, let's take a look at how we came about with this minimization function. The table tells us the different elements that went into coming up with this function. You might notice that not everything is displayed in the equation itself, but that's because they were calculated prior to this. Now, let's start by looking, if you take a look here at this variable that says O, there are 3 numbers associated with it. The first indicates what type of product it is. So 1 stands for the 42-inch TV and 2 stands for the 32-inch. The second is the mode of transportation, and there are 7 modes. And the last is which manufacturer they used, which is ODMs 1 to 7 as well. Based on all of this, we calculated for the 42-inch and the 32-inch, and with the $3 billion budget that was provided to us, the CO2 emissions was calculated as being 7,400,000 kilograms. An alarming number, I hope all of you think. Now, as we previously mentioned, DHL's prime goal right now is to go green and reduce their CO2 emissions by 30% compared to their 2007 baseline. The team that was investigating this also noticed that there could be up to a 10% increase in the budget that could be available to minimize the CO2 emissions because of tax incentives from the government that are encouraging industries to emit less greenhouse gases, as well as increased brand value that comes from customer awareness about suppliers who are taking into account going green and methods as such. Now, how exactly does the budget impact the quantity of CO2 emissions? We did a sensitivity analysis by varying the budget from 3 billion, which is what we're given, all the way up to 3.45 billion. We notice here, so each increase goes from a 3% increase, 7%, 10%, and all the way until 15%. Now, although we have up to 3.3 billion available to us, the company's goal of meeting the 30% decrease can be reached by as little as a 3% increase, which is by going from 3 billion to 3.1 billion. Now, with this new budget in mind, Mark is going to tell us how the optimal solution looks.
Thanks. These 3.1 billion will satisfy the company's demand reducing their current CO2 emission by 30%. Here's the optimal solution. In this case, only 3 ODMs will be selected to produce 2 sets of TV. And ODM 1 is the only one to produce LCD for 32, and